Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Creepy Cascadia podcast. As always, I am Sammy, one of your hosts, and as always, I am joined by my doll of a co-host slash husband, Adam.
Doll of a co-host.
It'll make sense in a minute, I promise.
Okay.
How are you doing today, my love?
Doing all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're sitting kind of in the dark.
Yeah, it's a new setup.
Well, I'm trying to make the best sound booth possible
Yeah.
in our spare room. This is not the best sound booth possible, but it's better than what we've had. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, hopefully we have some birds that built a nest just outside the window.
Mm-hmm.
We thought they were gone. Almost as if on cue, I can hear a little cheep 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 cheep.
Chirp, 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 chirp.
Yeah.
Did it say, want to see my pecker?
No, I did not. Yeah.
I will say that anytime the occasion or chance arises. If you guys
Yeah.
haven't seen that, that fucking cartoon is hilarious and terrible, but it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you encouraging the audience to like Google or YouTube like want to see my pecker? Because I don't know what the search results give you.
Pretty sure they give you that damn bird.
Cartoon bird. You're looking for a cartoon bird.
He's blue. And oh, he's nasty. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I've seen other ones too. I swear I found him on TikTok, but he's PG version. He's like a bird that it looks like the same bird,
Okay.
but it doesn't do any of like the nasty stuff.
Okay.
So yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well,
All right.
it
Yeah,
it just started summer. Summer just started earlier last week.
yeah, summer just started. It was a 3-day weekend for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going into a Monday tomorrow.
I already have the Sunday scaries. I've had them all day.
Yeah.
But we just have to get through the next few months, and it'll be the best season ever. Fall, baby! And it's almost July 5th,
I was gonna say
which
you
means
act as if you have to wait until the fall to celebrate the fall.
no,
When I know in fact.
July 5th. Everybody knows that's the best day to start decorating for Halloween. And luckily, my co-host here supports my crazy love of all things spooky, which obviously because we are doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. He supports my craziness. But that's okay. Everybody has a thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, our house goes through cycles, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
I want to say Christmas to July 5th ish.
Yeah.
It's like, or sometime after Christmas to July 5th, you normally put up like our pictures of friends, like our wedding, engagement photos, like all that type of stuff.
I didn't put any of those up.
Family. Yeah, you didn't do it
They're
this year.
literally
But,
still sitting in a tote downstairs.
yeah, but normally you do. So yeah,
I do.
so for the last few months it's been weird. It's been like
Empty.
just empty walls with like all the nails and all the like screws still ready to hold something in there.
Oh, it's coming. Just about a week more.
Yeah, yeah. Then we hit July 5th, and then you put up your Halloween stuff, and that stays up till. I mean, does it stay up to after Thanksgiving or like?
I try to take it down
Thanksgiving
before
week?
Thanksgiving.
Okay,
Yeah.
but then we do have some Christmas stuff, and so you put up the Christmas stuff for a few months.
It's like a month and a half, yeah. I literally
Yeah.
take down the Halloween and put up the Christmas. There's no Thanksgiving. I don't
Yeah.
have Thanksgiving decorations.
Yeah,
No. Yeah. So,
yeah.
real excited for summer to be over. We have some fun things going on this summer though, and I like summer. Like I like when it's hot and I can go swimming and work on my tan, but
Yeah, we haven't gone camping yet.
nope,
You really like camping.
we do have, and it's not even really camping because we're renting a cabin because the
Yeah,
place we're going doesn't have tent site. So we're not like really tent camping like we normally do.
Yeah, we're getting bougie this time. We're normally in a tent on the ground. Well, not on the ground, but we got an air mattress. But yeah,
And it's a comfy air mattress. Like I love our air mattress.
yeah,
That's my second one I've had because the first one like I had for like 12 years and it finally wore out and I bought a new one of the same one. So, since we got all of our lovely fall excitement out of the way, before we start, I do have a question for you. Shocker.
Oh, wasn't what we just talked about?
That wasn't a question, that was a statement of fact, sir.
That was just us talking about how we were,
Yeah. Just letting
how we're
everybody
doing.
know if you ever had a question, July 5th is the perfectly acceptable time to put up your Halloween decorations if you don't leave them up all year. Some people do. I
Yeah.
feel like we could do a spooky. I mean, I'm kind of gothic. You like horror movies. Oh! Oh, speaking of horror
Oh,
movies, I totally
oh,
forgot. Oh!
hold on. I was at a garage sale yesterday.
Oh, yeah, Adam went garage sailing. Without me. I didn't want to go because. And
They
I'm
said they had comics.
And I'm glad I didn't because you spent so much time going through those comics, I would have been bored out of my
Yeah,
mind. Yeah.
yeah. But the second house had. I was looking for Halloween decorations. They didn't have any. They had like one or two,
Yeah.
and they weren't anything that I thought you would really like.
Yeah.
They had tons of Christmas decorations,
Mm-hmm.
and on their house, they still had Christmas decorations on their house.
Oh.
They had wreaths and Christmas lights on the garage, and I swear there was like a Santa something.
You know, I'm not gonna judge because I literally would leave up Halloween stuff all year round if I could. But I do like Christmas too. Like I love Christmas lights. That makes me super excited. I'm gonna try to get some Halloween lights this year.
Yeah,
Like black or orange and purple and yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna try to get those. But speaking of horror movies, okay.
Horror movies. Okay, back to horror movies. Okay.
We watched The Crow. So we talked
It's not
about
a
it.
horror movie, is it?
I mean, it's a horror kind of. I feel like it's so this was the thing. I said I feel like this movie kind of like borders on horror cuz it's kind of gory, right?
Yeah,
It's about a guy that's like a zombie-ish kind of comes
yeah.
back, right? I really want him to remake it. And we looked it up and Adam, I think it's who is it? Bill
Bill
Skarsgård
Skarsgård.
is working on it.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, this is a really good, like, obviously it's from the 90s. It's kind of, there's some dated things in there, right? Like dated,
oh yeah,
you know,
100%.
effects and whatnot. But I really liked it. And I really want them to remake it, like, modern day,
Yeah,
you know? There's some cheesy, like, you had even said at the end there that 30-hour thing was like, you're like, get ready for the cheesiest line you've ever heard.
yeah. Because I was like, I remembered that coming up where I'm like, oh yeah, it's like you can't just outright beat the guy. He has to like
Yeah.
use his psychic powers. Which, to be fair, they had built up to like he could touch people and feel
Right.
things, but never. He had never like. I'm trying to remember like during the whole movie. I don't think he ever.
He
like,
didn't like transfer it to them.
Yeah, he never gave anybody like good feelings. You know, like when he was.
He just
like,
got their bad feelings or could like see their past or
yeah,
whatever. You know what it kind of it was a bit reminiscent for me of Ghost Rider. You know how like he could like
like the Nicolas Cage one.
yeah, you know how he would touch people and see if they were good or evil and judge them or whatever?
Oh yeah.
That's kind of what it reminded me of a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Ghost Rider, I really like that movie because it is also borderline horror movie, right? Like the devil's in there and he comes
Yeah.
back and he steals souls and shit, and Sam Elliott's in it. So, like, really, what's not to love?
Yeah.
But yeah. So we watched The Crow because we talked about it for our cursed movies episode, and I was like, I haven't seen it. Like, oh, I need to watch it. So we watched it on Friday night, I think it was. I liked it.
Yeah, I think Friday night.
I did like it. I am a fan. So I love all horror. Not all horror movies. Like Saw, not a fan of the Saw franchise. It's pretty
No.
much just like murder porn to me. Like it's just gory for like the sake of being gory, you know?
Yeah.
The first one was interesting because it was kind of a new concept. Like I hadn't watched movies like that before, but then it got like, yeah, okay. I see what you're doing here.
Yeah.
You don't need to make like 12 movies about this. But I also am a big fan of like B horror movies from like the 80s. So that Crow kind of fell like, not that it was like super cheesy, but it was kind of a B movie almost, I feel like a little bit, right? Like it could kind of slip into that category. But, and saying that, I loved it. Like I love movies like that. Like I put on like Camp Death or Camp Sleepaway Camp or Prom
like
night or prom. What was that?
you like the Scream Queen movies
I
almost,
do.
right?
Yeah. Like I'll put those on to
Like
take naps too, just because.
yeah,
Yeah.
or like there's a killer out there, but the death scenes really aren't all that gory.
No, especially in like the 80s. They're not. The special
Yeah,
effects, like, I don't know if you've ever watched the original Friday the 13th, babe, with
I
Kevin Bacon.
think I have, but
When Kevin Bacon gets stabbed through the throat, it's so bad. Like the
okay.
special effects. It's like he has like an extra giant neck that's like not the same color as his
Oh,
skin,
yeah,
like that the knife comes through. It's so
yeah.
terrible.
It's like
I love
obviously
it.
prosthetic or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So yeah, when you were talking about like gory, scary movies, where does Hellraisers fall on your on your scale?
I have only seen the first Hellraiser once.
Okay,
And I think it was like, I didn't love it because it was pretty gory to me.
right? Like
Yeah.
that one, I always felt the Hellraiser series like the Pinhead is like the villain or whatever, right? But it's
Yeah.
like it's like it always felt very like any scenes I watched seemed like very sadistic murder porny. So
Yeah.
right?
I
Like
agree. I'm not a huge fan of that franchise. Like I said, I've only seen the first one time. But I think I watched that as an adult just because I was like, oh, I haven't seen this franchise. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
yeah.
I don't need to watch the rest.
Then you recently, I mean, it wasn't recent, but like a few months ago, you watched like the 13 Ghosts.
Which I hadn't seen in a long time.
Yeah,
We watched it again because it's like people always talk about how that one is like a cult classic, and I was like, I remember watching it as like a teen, but it didn't ever like really stand out. Like that one's kind
yeah,
of gory too,
yeah. It's
like
pretty
the
gory.
Juggernaut and like
Yeah,
the
how a few
chick.
people die, and then the characters themselves are pretty gory, and messed up.
Yeah, yeah. I like the killing in the beginning where they're in that field or whatever and they're trying to trap the ghosts.
Mm,
Yeah, but I mean that one's okay. But super gory just to be gory, like I don't love those.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they just I don't like blood, so I don't like it.
yeah.
But anyways, okay. So back to my question.
I didn't answer it already.
No, I haven't even asked it yet.
Oh my god. Okay.
So, what do you think about dolls? And I know as a guy, you probably didn't play with a lot of dolls, but when you see a doll, do you have any like strong thoughts, opinions, etc.?
Not usually. I mean, half the time, the super old ones like look creepy to me usually,
I agree.
and I almost want to say like what's the newest line that's like super realistic? Is it like Girl or something like that?
American Girls dolls have been around for a while.
Been around for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I think those were a thing when I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like people out here making like realistic
Oh my god.
ish dolls.
So my friend Kendra has a daughter, and her daughter had this little doll that was literally like fit in the palm of your hand, right?
Okay.
But it was like fucking realistic looking, and it had like a little cooter on it. And I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with this? What is going on with this doll?" And she's like, "I don't know. It's like anatomically correct." I'm like, "That's weird to me. Like, I know it shouldn't be, but like, I know some
Yeah.
creeps out there
Some creep out there.
doing
Yeah.
something with it, and I don't like thinking about that."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
You said
so
it was handheld.
Jesus, yeah, yeah.
Don't look at me for asking questions.
Yes. It was not a very big doll. And
No.
I've never been a fan of dolls. Like I liked Barbies as a kid,
Yeah.
but I've never been like a baby doll fan. And I also think baby dolls are creepy because I remember one time when I was a kid, I had a babysitter one time that told me scary stories because I asked her to, and she told me about this doll that like would come alive in the middle of the night and kill people. And so after that, I really was never a fan of dolls.
Yeah.
Barbies don't do that.
Barbies don't.
They come alive and have pool parties at night.
It's like Toy Story.
Yeah.
Because they're toys,
Yeah.
unlike the other ones.
Uh-huh. Dolls are just creepy. And today, there's a reason I asked because we are going to be talking about our first haunted doll.
Oh, okay. We haven't talked about a haunted doll
We
before.
have not. And I mean first because there are more than one apparently.
Oh, I could believe
I
it.
know of a few.
Yeah.
So today we are talking about Robert the Doll, a reportedly super haunted doll that continues to cause problems and chaos to this day. But let's start at the beginning with
So it's
Robert.
a guy doll.
It's a boy doll.
It's a
Yep,
boy doll.
he's a boy.
Yeah.
So let's start with his evil origin story. That's why I was asking you about,
Okay.
like, you know how like bad guys
Yeah.
in movies. I swear to God, there was
Yeah.
another name for it that I couldn't think of. But
Yeah.
okay, so Robert the Doll is a straw-filled doll and was manufactured by the Steiff Company, which
yeah.
is a German toy manufacturer. Have you heard of it?
Yeah. So
Oh, that's funny.
they're famous for the teddy bear.
That your mom likes.
Well, so I mean, like, supposedly Steiff is like the original like teddy bear inventor or whatever.
I did see something about teddy bears with them.
Yeah, and they're fairly collectible over there.
Okay.
So like, yeah, like Steiff bears, and then especially if they do like limited edition ones. They do like tags, you know, like
Yeah.
like the cloth tag, not like a beanie baby tag.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so when I was in Germany, I think the 100th anniversary of the teddy bear happened, and I bought my mom like one of these dolls.
Oh yeah.
Or not a doll, one of these teddy bears. And Jesus, it was like $100 bear or something. It was like a very expensive teddy bear, but it was like, yeah, it was like limited edition. You know, celebrating the 100th year of the teddy bear. Looks very classic teddy bear. Yeah, so Steiff, yeah.
Okay.
Very aware of Steiff.
Well,
yes.
look at you. I should have known.
Yeah.
You are German after all, and you lived in Germany for a while.
Yeah, I was over there, right? So,
Yeah. So, Robert the Doll was a gift to a boy named Robert Eugene Jean, as he went by Otto. He was given to him by his grandparents when he was 4 years old. Now, there are differing stories about how he got this doll. Some sources say that the doll was a gift from one of his family's servants. That's the word I've seen used, not my choice of word. But this was in the early 1900s. And it's also said that the gift was cursed as revenge on Robert's parents, or Jean's parents, which is why it's haunted. Like voodoo or Bohemian.
Yeah.
You know, she worked for the family, probably not with great, you know, great pay, great treatment, whatever. So
yeah.
that is another story that is widely reported on. But I think that it actually was, I think it's actually from his grandparents because they were able to verify that it was like the Steiff Company that it came from. It wasn't like a straw doll that this woman made, which I've
Okay.
seen in some places. But they, so,
So I guess I'm confused. Servant or grandparents?
right. We're not sure. They're both, it's both are reported that it came, you know, there's a lot of people that say it came from his grandparents as a gift, and there's a lot of people that say it was from like a cursed doll from one of this family's servants.
Okay.
Yeah. So, still kind of debated on the actual origins.
Okay.
So, as you may have noticed, both the doll and the kid are named Robert. So, Robert the boy, who went by Gene, loved his new doll, so much that he named him Robert. So, for the rest of the story, we're going to call the human boy Gene because that's actually what he went by.
Okay. And then the doll will be Robert.
And the doll is Robert. And I'm not going to continue to say Robert the doll because, as we talk about later, you don't want to piss him off. And I just don't want to chance it. So, Robert.
You don't even know me, bro.
Don't fucking taunt Robert, okay?
Yeah.
Don't. I don't
Okay.
want to. I don't want to piss him off.
Yeah.
So, a little bit about Gene. He was born October 25th, 1900, to Thomas Osgood Otto and Minnie Elizabeth Otto. And he was the youngest of 4 kids. Most sources say that the Otto family was pretty wealthy and a prominent family in the Key West area, which is where they lived. I mean, of course, it's a Florida man doll. No. Fucking
Is it
Florida.
Florida or German? Is that?
No, the doll was made in Germany.
Okay.
Yes. Family lived
People
in
live
Key
on-
West.
Okay. Yeah, we said Key West. I'm like, Key West is like Florida, right?
Yes, it is. So they lived in Key West.
Or is it an island off? I honestly don't know.
I don't know either. Some sources say that the Otto parents were kind of strict and may have been a bit harsh, but, you know, it was the 1900s. Did anybody have any fun back then? Or have, relaxing childhoods?
Yeah, I don't know how many people did, right?
Yeah.
It's like farm, eat, sleep, do it again.
Yeah. But this, I mean, most of the things I saw said this was a pretty wealthy family. So maybe they had, they were high society and expected their kids to behave a certain way.
Oh yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
who knows?
that's like it's like tough life in the opposite direction. It's
Yeah.
it's like you're born with a silver spoon, eating cake, but at the same time, if you're expected to be perfect,
Yeah.
like more psychologically terrible than it is like physically terrible, right?
Agreed.
Like, yeah,
And if your parents were dicks and beat you, then you're like getting it shit both ways,
yeah.
So, what's pretty much agreed on by everybody is that Jean had an instant attachment to Robert. The doll was 40 inches tall, so probably close to the same size Jean was when he received it because he was 4 when he got it. Robert was even given a sailor's outfit that most likely belonged to Jean prior to giving it to Robert. And if you know anything about Robert the doll, the image of him in a sailor's outfit is what you probably picture when you think of him, if you know anything about the story. Which we'll
Okay.
post some pics on our socials.
Okay.
So Jean began carrying Robert everywhere, and he spoke to him as if he were a real boy. His parents would often hear Jean having conversations with Robert, and Jean insisted that Robert got everything he did. So he had his own dollhouse, he had his own furniture. Robert even had his own toys, and he had his own teddy bear too, which he still has. Jean really treated Robert more like a sibling than a doll. And, like a true sibling, Robert was often blamed for anything that went wrong. Jean was often heard saying Robert did it whenever trouble occurred in the Otto home. So the connection between Jean and Robert seemed to border on obsessive, right? Like, he treated this thing like a sibling, and he had siblings. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about that when I was researching this. Like, I've heard, I've seen some shows about it. I've heard a few podcasts about it. So yeah, I always thought that Jean was an only child, and that's why he was so attached to Robert because, like, he wanted a sibling. But he did have siblings according to his obituary on findagrave.com.
Okay.
He had like 3 older siblings. So
All right, but on the flip side, if he's the youngest, right?
true.
Robert starts at the same age, but then when Robert stays the same age while Jean grows up, Robert then becomes a younger sibling that he can like blame for things.
True. And it sounds like anytime he got in trouble, he always blamed Robert,
Okay.
which is a kind of a dick move. Like, come on, kid.
Yeah, but he might have learned it from his siblings.
True. I mean, he probably got blamed for everything. Now, I will say, I am the youngest. I have 2 older sisters. And I have been told stories about when my sisters would blame me for shit that I didn't do. And the best one is when my sisters started throwing their toys out the second story window and blamed it on me. And my mom's like, she can't reach the window. She could not have done this. Like, she came home and my mom saw like toys flying out of the window. And she's like, she can't reach the window. That was not her. Bitches.
Yeah.
Yep. Jean always had Robert in bed with him, and that's not super unusual. I feel like a lot of kids go through, like, they have their favorite toys that they keep with them or blankies or whatever.
Yeah.
But insisting that Robert have a seat at the family's dining table seemed a bit more on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is said that Jean would also throw fits and always blamed Robert for the outbursts. Jean's family originally thought that these were normal childhood antics, but over time, the family began to believe that maybe something more sinister was happening. Outsiders would claim to see the doll move on its own accord through the home's windows, and the family also believed that Robert would move around the house on his own and could even change his facial expressions. So, the odd thing is, Gene never seemed to outgrow his odd obsession with Robert. Even as Gene grew up, Robert remained an ever present figure in his life, even as he grew into adulthood. So, Gene would go on to become an artist, and he met his future wife, Anne, in Paris, actually on Insane. Is it Seine? On the Seine? Siene?
Yeah, the Seine River. You
Seine,
mean?
yeah. So he
Okay.
met, isn't there Seine, Paris? Isn't that a city? Town?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
He met his wife Anne in Paris, his future wife Anne in Paris. We'll just go with that.
Yeah.
Where he was studying art. So Anne and Jean would go on to marry, and they returned to the family home in Key West, where Robert also happened to be. Most sources I saw said that Anne hated Robert, which, if the strange attachment remained, I get it. Like, if you married some guy and you moved back to his family home, and he's like, oh, hey, by the way, this is my buddy Robert the doll. He does everything with me.
Right. You're like, I married a crazy person.
Uh-huh. Bit of a shocker there on that one.
Yeah. What? I thought this artist was just really deep, and it turned out he was just insane. Like,
Deeply troubled.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, though? Like, you meet this guy in Paris, he's an artist, you're, like, taken by him, and then you move back after you're married, and it's like, my husband has a doll.
Yep.
Like, a very weird attachment to a doll.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Bet she rethought some things there for a hot minute.
How long were they married?
They remained married for the rest of their lives.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, when you said how long were they married, I thought you meant how long had they been married when she found this out.
No. I meant how long did she stick around after finding out about this?
Forever.
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 God, they must have been really fucking rich.
Or really good in bed. Or both. Weird guys will do the weird things.
It's like, Pinocchio, tell me lies.
I was getting Pinocchio vibes from this. He's a real boy.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I was going. It's like, yeah.
Yep. So, let's see. So, after Jean and Anne moved into the family home, Robert was moved to either a turret in the home or Jean's art room. I've seen both. I've seen that he had his own, like, turret wing, essentially,
Okay.
or his art studio where he painted.
Yeah.
So, Jean actually became a fairly, like, well-known artist, you know, in his lifetime.
Okay.
So, after he passed away in 1974, it is said that Anne locked Robert away in a trunk in the home. But she passed away a few years later, and the home was eventually sold to a woman named Myrtle Reuter, who also took ownership of Robert. It sounds like
Okay.
Broder Reuter, Myrtle Reuter.
Yeah, I was like, that's a very interesting name.
Uh-huh. I wonder if she's related to, like, the Reuters, like because it's spelled the same. Like the news organization, Reuters. News.
Reuters?
I don't know. Is it Reuters? I always thought it was-
Reuters?
Yeah.
Reuters? That's how I understand they pronounce it.
Oh, okay. He sold, the house was sold to Myrtle Reuter. That sounds even weirder. But she did take possession of Robert, and she took possession of Robert, and then she ended up moving, but she kept Robert with her for almost 20 years, it said. Lots of places said that she kept him for 20 years. So, the death of Jean didn't stop the antics of Robert. So, maybe it wasn't really Jean just blaming everything on Robert. Maybe Robert really did do some stuff. Folks staying at or visiting the home would report the sound of giggling and footsteps when there were no children. Like the sound of kids giggling and small
At
footsteps.
Myrtle's house?
Mm-hmm. So, former house and then her new house.
Okay.
A plumber said he heard giggling and noticed that Robert seemed to have moved across the room by himself. Myrtle claimed that even after moving to another home, Robert continued to move about on his own, and she claimed that he was haunted. No shit. In 1994, Robert was gifted to the Fort East Martello Museum by Myrtle. When he first arrived at the museum, he wasn't immediately put on display, but his reputation preceded him, and folks began asking about him. Now, remember, it wasn't just the Otto family who claimed to see Robert move around and think he was haunted. So, word began to spread even more, and eventually, Robert was put on display in the museum.
Okay.
Now, you feel like that's the end of the story, right? Like, oh, this doll he's put in a museum, yada, yada, yada. That is just the beginning of what Robert's reputation
But yeah,
becomes.
yeah, that was gonna be my question of like, well, how's he on display at the museum? Is he just locked in a glass cage? Like,
He's in a glass case. So it's here at the museum that his worldwide infamy would begin. The museum reported weird electronic phenomena as soon as Robert was put into or came to the museum, such as like surveillance cameras malfunctioning, electronics just like going nuts, not working the way they were supposed to.
yeah,
Odd, but that can happen, right? Like there are multiple explanations for why that could happen somewhere. Bad wiring in the place, like a big
gremlins.
gremlins. Yeah, for sure. I saw The Simpsons.
A big what? A big electromagnetic something.
Yeah, like electromagnetic
Power
fields.
lines.
Yeah, power. Like there are things that could explain that. Like I would hope that the place has like tested for that, but why it would just start when Robert got there is a little odd. Um, but it gets weirder. So apparently Robert is not a fan of having his picture taken without permission, and visitors who do so usually end up regretting it. Several visitors have claimed that their cameras would malfunction when trying to take a picture, but as soon as they left, the cameras were fine and they worked as if they had been fine the whole time.
Hmm.
To avoid any bad luck, everyone is encouraged to introduce themselves, ask permission before taking pics, and always say thank you. So, manners are very important to Robert. He's
Yeah, high society, right?
yeah, from the 1900s. Like, you best be polite.
Yeah.
Robert is also a stickler for being respected, and those who are deemed disrespectful by Robert report having terrible luck follow them. Job losses, broken bones, car accidents, failed relationships, divorces, all pretty much every kind of misfortune you can think of. Those are thought to be caused by Robert not getting his proper dues.
Hmm.
It is said that Robert is even responsible for the death of a ghost hunter who passed away shortly after having Robert's image tattooed on himself. I mean, that's like the ultimate picture that you did not ask permission for.
Right.
People also report feeling uneasy around Robert's display case, and there are reports from the staff members that have heard what is described as demonic giggling, and they've even seen him put his hands on the glass case.
Hmm.
So the funny thing, I mean, it's not funny, but people really do believe that they have been cursed by Robert.
Okay.
So the museum itself receives daily letters addressed to Robert from museum visitors who may have forgotten their manners and believe that they have been cursed by Robert. The letters are basically apologies and requests for forgiveness and begging Robert to lift the curse that he placed on them. So, homie don't play. Like,
Yeah.
if you go there, you best be on your best behavior.
Sounds
You know what I'm
like
saying?
it. Yeah.
So, there are a few different theories on how Robert became the powerful entity that he is now known as. As we said in the beginning, there are some groups that believe that an angry servant cursed the doll and gave it to Jean as a way to inflict pain on the family, like get revenge. They talk about voodoo, like back in the 1900s, like servants were thought to have been like voodoo priestesses and yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? So, like, it's easy to see how somebody would make that jump. Like,
Yeah.
oh, she gave him the doll. But we're not even 100% sure that she's the one that gave him the doll. Like, a lot of things say it was the grandfather, too. There were some things that said that, the parents of Jean were also not the kindest to their help. So,
I feel like it was more rare that people were kind to their help.
I know, I agree with you, unfortunately. So that's one theory of why Robert is what he is.
Good.
Some sources say that all the energy that was put into the doll by Jean as a child somehow like conjured up a malevolent spirit that grew and grew. So the doll was blamed for all the bad things that happened when Jean was a child. So that's a lot of negative energy towards an inanimate object, right?
Yeah.
So, he's treating this object as if it's a real boy. He's blaming it for everything. He's putting a lot of energy into it that we just don't know. Maybe something did manifest. I mean, poltergeists can be created, so why not a naughty spirit of a doll,
Yeah.
right? And because people believe that Robert was haunted, that could actually contribute to like the more like it's almost like a tulpa, right? Like if you believe in something so much that it could really happen.
You stole my question at the end. I was gonna be like, isn't he kind of like a topo where if
It could be.
stories start and then people kind of believe the stories and then it snowballs from there, right?
Yep.
It's totally like a
So if anybody doesn't know what a tulpa is, I think we've talked about it before, but a tulpa is like Slender Man, for example, right? Like people think that Slender Man is real because he was like this made up. I think he came from like Reddit or something.
yeah.
You know, that people started to believe in, and then they believe that he became real because so many people believed in it that they actually like it actually became a real thing because so many people believed in it. So if anybody out there doesn't believe in Bigfoot, could you please do me a solid and just believe in him because I really want him to be real. And I want like Harry and the Henderson version of Bigfoot, not like Ultimate Apex Predator. Great, thank you.
Nice disclaimer there.
Yeah. I mean, you got to put out in the universe what you want to get back, and I want to get like Harry and the Henderson Bigfoot back and not something that will murder me in my sleep. I'm too fat to run away, okay? I'm going to be the first one to die if it's an ultimate apex predator. I got peanut butter, and he likes animals. He loved that dog, and he's a vegetarian in that movie too, so.
Okay.
He would love Jaxie and Winnie. You know Winnie would bug the shit out of him, and he would just love it. Oh, I want a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Like the rest of us.
Winnie bugging the shit out of us.
She's been real naughty lately.
Bugging the shit out of Bigfoot like she bugged the shit out of us, yeah.
But we love her.
Yeah. I was gonna
Yeah.
say, speaking of like putting out what you want in the world, you know, isn't the GIF I sent you the other day? That's all I want.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted.
That's all you wanted. Adam was being
Oh, are we gonna tell this story?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell it. We had to go to some appointments, and there's this really good donut place that we really like that we don't get to very often, but I had an appointment out there, so we stopped by and got it, and Adam was in line, so I lucked.
No, you gotta before I got in line,
Yeah.
we pulled up and there was a spot right out front.
And I was like, holy shit, really? So I like pulled into it, right? Adam hops out, so I'm trying to straighten out. And he's in line. And there's always a line at this place. Like 99% of the time there's a line. And Adam is like, fakes. He doesn't even say anything. He just like puts his hands on his face. And he's like, like, because I backed up,
yeah, you were
forward.
backing up. You were backing up. I gave you an indication that you had like 5 feet. Like I did full arm wingspan, like you have all the room in the world.
Yep.
And then you started backing up, and I was doing like the hand thing, like closer, and then all of a sudden I like put him on my cheeks like Home Alone, like oh no, like like
he forgets we have a backup camera, so I know I wasn't that close. It wasn't even beeping yet.
Yeah. But yeah, so then it was like
the lady in line.
The lady, this little old lady in front of me in line for this bakery. Mm-hmm. She sees all of this go down and she just dead looks at me and she's like, "You're terrible." And I'm like, I mean, I am, but
no,
like, I
you're
was
not.
like, she laughed.
I was
like,
laughing because I knew I was fine. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then he texted me, this little old lady, he texted me and told me what the little old lady said. And then we were like trying to send each other gifts to make each other laugh while he was waiting in line, you know, with people in front of him.
Yep.
And I said something about putting your penis somewhere, right?
Yeah.
To put it lightly. And
I think you sent me the want to see my pecker.
Oh, I did, yeah.
Bird first.
I did. See, I love that guy. I love that little bird.
Yeah.
And he sent back a GIF that said, "Yes, that's all I've ever wanted." And I died laughing.
Yeah.
Like, died.
I can see the moment when she read that, because it really...
Because, again, we have
really
senses of humor of, like, 12-year-old boys. Like, yeah. So that was pretty funny. And the donut was really good, too, so
Oh,
win-win.
fuck yeah. I'm
Made up
amazed
for
I
the
haven't
appointment
even-
not happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, barely.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we'll go back again.
I know.
I'm amazed that I haven't finished my donut yet. Like,
I know. Because these things are huge.
yeah,
These donuts are massive.
it's gonna be my breakfast tomorrow at the very latest.
Yeah. I made French toast today. I made him have bacon and French toast today, so he didn't get to eat it for breakfast.
Yeah,
I'm such a horrible wife.
so terrible
So
making
terrible.
my favorite breakfast because the last time I ordered it at a restaurant was super shitty.
It was super
So,
shitty.
yeah.
Today's was pretty okay.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. So where were we? Okay. Perhaps Robert is a tulpa.
Tulpa.
Yep.
Yeah.
So others believe that the doll is actually possessed by a demonic spirit, right? Because they talks about hearing like demonic giggling, and he like causes issues that are pretty like, car accidents, failed relationships, broken bones. Like that's pretty sinister in my mind. So it's not like a
Yeah, the bad luck.
you're gonna misplace your keys, like hee kind of doll. So it's
Yeah.
it's a little more sinister. So I don't know. Whatever it is, it's safe to say that he has quite the reputation. And if you're ever in the Key West area, you can actually go visit him and make your own conclusion. I will pass because I joke around too much and I don't want to piss him off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can go see him. He still is on display. I guess he gets rotated to a different spot in October. But
This coming October or like every October?
like every October.
Okay.
But he is at this museum that you can go see. Just make sure you use your manners, be polite, Don't take his picture without his permission. Although I did see some place that said that that's not really a thing, like, because how can a dog give you permission? I see he's working. But a lot of people, there's a lot of
I
like,
had a terrible thought in my head. That's
Oh,
why
God.
I was super smirking.
let's hear it. What is it? Is it dirty? Oh, hang on.
It
Okay.
is dirty. I'm like, don't suck the doll's dick too much, babe. And then I was like, doll glory hole at the museum.
Oh my God. He's not talking about you, Robert, if you're listening.
Yeah.
I said, what did
And
I
all
say?
all I can ever
Don't
think of is
piss
your,
him
all I
off.
can ever think of is Your Highness. Playful secrets. I was like,
Don't tell father.
yeah.
Playful secrets.
This October we move him to a special room.
Come, give me kisses.
Yeah. I was just like, oh my god.
If you haven't seen Your Highness, you guys, it's so stupid. It's hilarious. I
So
love
stupid,
it.
but yeah, it's so good.
Julie's got no dick.
Oh man.
Danny McBride and James Franco and Natalie Portman. Like, what else do you need?
Yeah.
That booby monster, the booby king guy. Remember the one that's always like tits out everywhere? Remember when he gets his finger cut off? Like he puts his hand in the pot thingy and moves it around and it like makes a monster come out. And all the women run around with no shirts on.
I don't remember any of this out of this movie.
How,
What are you doing?
how could you, out of all the things in that movie, not remember that part? You are a boob man
I
through and
remember,
through.
I remember the Minotaur where he kills the Minotaur and then wears
Yeah.
his dick around his neck on a fucking chain.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about that part.
Like this big dog.
No, it's
because
like-
he gets the sword that he can, yeah. And
No,
then
they're
it's
in like that arena part because that one guy the girls capture them in the woods, remember? And none of them are wearing shirts because it's all like boobies. Like, it's like, God, I want to say the name is like Titua or something like that. And
I really don't remember this.
Oh,
Yeah.
we should watch it again because
Okay.
that little alien thing or the monster is worth it just to hear him be like, "Playful secrets."
I mean, yeah, that's the seer
Yeah,
or like
let's jump on the bed with our shirts off.
it's like you smoke with this guy.
Yeah.
Don't tell father.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
tell father. That's such a funny movie. It's so stupid. I love it. It's just one of those things that there's so many funny things that you don't expect, right? Like,
Yeah.
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 Anyways, so that, babe, is a very brief overview of Robert the Doll. Now, I have
Okay.
to say what brought this up, okay? So, for anybody listening, we just set up our P.O. box so we can now get our Patreon set up if anybody is interested, we will be doing that in the next month or so.
Okay.
But the guy that works at the post office, so I had called previously to ask about, can we get
How it worked.
how it worked
Yeah.
because it's going to be some of the mail's going to be coming to like essentially a business name, but we don't have like a business license or anything because we're not an actual business, but it's not, to us. Anyways, so long story short, I was chatting with a guy and he also has a podcast that he does with some buddies. But we went to go set up the P.O. box because you have to go and like physically sign or whatever.
Yeah.
And he had a postcard on his cabinet and it said Robert did it, and it was a picture of Robert the doll, like a postcard of
that's
Robert the
right,
doll.
yeah.
I was like, oh, we haven't covered Robert the doll. We should do that. Like, it's a pretty good one. It's an interesting one. I think a lot of people think of Annabelle as well. Like, that's the big one, like from the Conjuring universe.
The latest, yeah.
It's technically, I mean, it is a real doll that is in the Warrens
Annabelle.
Museum that's
Yeah.
not open anymore. But, so yeah, what are your thoughts?
See, other than the playful secrets and my terrible thoughts about, Pinocchio.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, the other thing this reminds me of, Goosebumps.
Oh, Slappy.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. That's a good comparison.
Right? That's what I think of when you talk about like life-size doll about the size of a child that runs and does things on its own. 100%. Like that's
Slappy
because
the doll.
I don't think I've ever heard of Robert the doll. But I've definitely, Goosebumps is prime.
God,
childhood.
I loved Goosebumps so fucking much.
Yeah, and I think they did Slappy in like the first run. Like, I'd say like the first 10, 13 books of Goosebumps.
I think so too.
Like the OG.
And he's like the main character in the movie with Jack Black.
Yeah.
Like Slappy. And there's a second one, I think it's called Slappy's World. There's like the second one when they did the second movie.
Yeah.
I want to say. I haven't seen the second one, but I did like the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck, I loved Goosebumps so much. And then Fear Street. I read Fear Street, which was like the teen version of Goosebumps by R.L. Stine. Those were good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that other show?
$2, my mom's got all those Goosebumps books somewhere.
She probably does.
I'm gonna have to cut that.
I'm not cutting that, and I'm not accepting that bet because I know I'm gonna lose. So, what was the other show? So it was Goosebumps, and then because the Goosebumps books got made into movies. What was that other show?
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was a good show too.
Yeah. I bet they had at least one episode about a creepy doll.
Oh, I'm sure.
That like moved on its own.
Do you remember the book about the gnomes?
Yes.
Yeah. And like the slime in the basement. I feel like there was like a slime one. There was like slime.
There's definitely a slime one, yeah.
Yeah. God, those were good books, man. I used to eat that shit up.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Everybody did. Those things were the jams. Like, it was like...
Fucking amazing.
Somebody got a new one. You'd be like, hey, can I read that when you're done? And like, you would like pass it around with your friends like crack.
Or a Playboy.
Yeah. I won't ever pass a Playboy around.
No. Pages were always too stick together.
Yeah, like a little...
Did you ever find Playboys like as a kid? You know how people always talk about like...
Plead the fifth.
So yes. If it's a no, if it's not a no, it's a yes.
I fail at listen, but...
That probably already know that you looked at boobies and bush when you were a kid. And I'm pretty sure there was lots of bush because it was the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
A power muff. That's what Holly calls it on.
I'm going to say I probably didn't see Playboy until I was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it any better. You still are underage, sir.
I was at the very least, I think I was like late middle school. So peak time for a teenage boy.
But let me tell you, I loved Good Housekeeping. What, isn't that like the joke that teenage boy, like young boys, or like any magazine with a girl in it is like, ooh.
Oh, now don't get me wrong. I mean, Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition was
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss for a while. Yeah.
Put that one in the old spank bank. It's because it's darker in here. I feel like I could be a little
You can
bit
be a
more
little
like
more dirty or
naughty.
naughty.
Oh, I've been naughty. Ah,
It's a little cave-like in here.
yeah.
Playful secrets. Yeah. Meow.
It's making me think of Parks and Rec, where the congressman or the local politician guy, he's like, yes, I had sex in a cave with not one but four prostitutes, one of who I did not get their name. He's always just doing like the craziest shit, like so many sex scandals. I just watched that one a while ago.
The politician talking about the skeezy guy.
Yeah, the one that then he said he had sex with Leslie,
Yeah.
and then said Leslie and Anne were lesbians, and
Yeah.
he wanted everybody to believe that he had sex with her because she's so wholesome.
Yeah. Kind of looks like a cracked out Nick Kroll.
No, he looks like an old politician. He looks like a 40-year-old politician, like a 45-year-old politician.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so yeah, Robert the Doll.
Yeah. It's back to that. Yeah. Slap it from Goosebumps. What was the other one? Oh, we were talking about old horror movies. Chucky.
So it's rumored, and I don't know how like accurate this is, but they do say that Child's Play, some people think that Child's Play is based off of Robert, which would make sense, right?
Yeah, if it were like a little murderous, maybe.
Well, you get your base for it, right? Like
Yeah.
ooh, a doll that's like move on its own, like let's take it a step further. Let's take one that kills people.
Because I thought the Child's Play, like Chucky's origin is like he was like a murderer,
I think you're right.
convicted, killed or something. Somehow like consciousness transferred to a doll.
He possessed a doll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was the whole Bride of Chucky was like he goes back to
I haven't seen Bride of
his
Chucky.
old.
Child's Play was never one that I really got into either.
Yeah, I didn't like it. It was a little too.
I didn't like
close
it
to
because I
home.
don't like dolls, and so I really didn't like. I mean, I've seen I think the first and second one
Yeah.
as a kid, but I don't really like them. That's not my
Yeah.
franchise. Like that's not one of my franchises that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seem to remember my older brother watching the movie at some point, and I did not like it. Yeah, because I've never really liked scary movies.
You don't. What was the one that? Oh, not Narnia.
The one that really freaked me out when I was fairly little?
Yeah.
Labyrinth.
Okay.
Yeah.
David Bowie's bulge would scare me too as a kid.
I never even got that far. Like, I made them turn it off when the baby gets stolen. Like, the evil Muppets in the closet
Yeah, that's
was
freaky.
enough for me.
Yeah. Like, how old do you think you were?
5?
That's kind of young. I could see that.
Yeah.
I was really young when I watched Jaws, and I was terrified of sharks. I still am very scared of sharks. Like when we went to Hawaii, Adam said he saw something behind. He's like, "What was that behind you in the water?" Like he saw like a splash or something,
Yeah,
and nobody
I
was
thought I
around.
saw a splash,
I fucking
yeah.
turned around and was like, I fucking the shit out of the ocean because I was afraid that there was gonna be a shark. I watched Jaws way too young. I was terrified that it was gonna like come up the drain in the bathtub. Like
Yeah.
I would like sit in the tub and cry and like be terrified, like scooch to the end because I was so afraid that Jaws was gonna be in the water.
Yeah.
I would, yeah. That shit's traumatizing when you're a
Yeah.
kid. Yeah. And
Yeah.
dolls are just creepy to me. Like, I don't know if it's because I saw Child's Play as a kid, but I have never been a fan of dolls. There's something about, like, the eyes that I'd never like on dolls, especially, like, the older ones.
Yeah.
You know? Like, my babysitter told me the story of it all.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
Yeah. The dolls with like the eyelids that roll up.
Fuck no. No.
Not a fan.
No.
Not a
Paint that shit on.
fan. Yeah.
I don't want to see some eyelid flickering on a goddamn doll in the middle of the night or hear that
Yeah.
noise.
Meow.
No, don't like it.
Yeah. I think about the only kind of dolls that I was okay with were like Raggedy Ann, Raggedy Andy.
You won't be when we talk about Annabelle.
Fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's And like I said, we didn't really ever have those.
Right, because you grew up with
Yeah.
brothers. Like, it's not like you guys had a ton of baby dolls lying
Yeah, we didn't have
around.
dolls or anything. We had teddy bears. I branched off into like liking koala bears. I want to say fairly early.
Yeah.
Like I did have a bigger teddy bear that was like, yeah, he had to have been like 2 feet, 3 feet long type of a thing. And I had him, I think, from when I was very little. Like I might have got him as like a baby or something, or like a toddler. Yeah, I remember having that teddy bear like super early.
Yeah.
That one and that one looked like. Do you remember what's the? It's not Downy Soft or whatever. There's always a bear.
Snuggle.
Snuggle.
Yeah, the snuggle
Yeah,
bear.
the Snuggle bear. It looked like that,
Oh,
but it was
cute.
like bigger.
Yeah.
So
I also am like, I never. I mean, I had like teddy bears growing up and like stuffed animals and stuff, but like, I don't know. They've always been a little eerie to me too, a little bit.
mm,
You know?
yeah,
Maybe
no,
I just have been a spooky bitch my whole life.
maybe. I
You
mean,
know?
yeah, we all had stuffed animals.
Yeah. I mean, I had stuffed animals too. I feel like I did have like a bear. I don't really remember it. I want to say it was like pink or blue, like a bear that I had.
Mm,
But obviously it wasn't that important because I don't remember it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That's called childhood trauma where you block everything out.
it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah. So yeah,
But yeah, I think that's roughly all my thoughts on it. I mean,
I don't the fact that people, I don't know if it's people are just like, you go there thinking something's going to happen and then you contribute everything to it.
oh yeah, that reminds me of actually one thing I was gonna say earlier.
Sure.
But
Hit me.
yeah, it's everyone contributing, right?
Mhm.
So we've talked about the power of teenage boys.
Yeah. Mhm.
So we're talking about Gene
Yep.
had this doll like
Mhm.
his entire growing up,
His whole life essentially.
His whole life.
Mhm.
Somewhere in there was a crude joke about whether Robert's anatomically correct too or whatever.
He was filled with straw. That can't feel very good. Like he's have you ever gotten like have you ever cut
Straw
up
is the worst.
have you
Yeah.
ever cut up your arms from like
Yeah.
trucking hay bales?
We used to. I mean, I was a kid growing up in South Dakota. Had a friend. They had a barn. We would jump from like different areas onto hay.
Mhm.
We would rope swing onto hay,
Mhm.
and then you go and you take a bath because you're all dirty from
And it
playing in the barn all
fucking
day,
stings.
and it stings like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
All those little tiny cuts that you didn't realize or whatever.
Yep.
Jesus.
I used to get them on my forearms all the time because we had horses, and so we
Yeah.
had to like
Feed them.
stack hay and pick it up out of the fields and do all that, like do hay every year, and I
Yeah.
fucking hated it.
Great day for hay.
It's a great day for hay. Great day for Thunder Bay. So yeah, like that can't feel good on a peen. Like, if you had
Yeah.
straw up in there.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the thing.
I
Not
know, I'm
everybody wants to fuck their toys
Not
out.
everybody's fucking the toys. I get
Not
it.
everybody. Some people probably, I'm sure,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But yeah, I guess part of me, the negative energy.
Or just like the blame of
Like
always
it.
like, ooh, Robert did it.
Yeah.
Like that doll's probably like, fuck, I didn't do shit. Now I'm gonna start doing shit.
Right.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is crazy because it's like. Yeah. You have the wife.
Mm-hmm.
Creeped out by it, but also like lived with it their whole life until Gene died.
Mm-hmm.
But then she like locked him up in the trunk, right?
Mm-hmm. Which probably pissed him off.
Yeah, and it's either it's either like I'm done with this thing, or it's like he moves around and I'm done with this.
Well, yeah.
I mean, either way, you're locking up the doll,
Right.
and then yeah, it's crazy that like the next owner like says the same things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is there? I always go to the motivations, right?
Right.
Was there any? The person who bought the house, or the person who got Robert next, were they ever, were they like, had they heard stories? Were they like thinking that was a thing already, or
It could be, but
is it? Yeah.
I don't think she ever made any money because she like donated the doll. So it's not like she like gave it or she got paid for this doll. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. QS is probably pretty big. I'm not good with geography, but
Yeah.
who
It's
knows
famous
if.
enough that we've heard of it, right?
Right.
Being there.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if there was any like,
Yeah.
but I mean, this reputation has been going on for over 100 years.
Yeah.
So it makes me think there's something there.
Yeah.
You know, even if it is just like the people believing in it enough that it actually happens kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty badass for a doll. Like 100 years, people being scared of you. Like, go on with your bad self. You know. You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying, how else are you gonna get rid of the bad energy? You know,
Exercise.
how are you gonna? How are you gonna? The demons have been exorcised, or what? I've exorcised the demons.
He just has to convert to Catholicism and he'll be saved.
That's true too. You know, has anybody tried to throw some holy water on Robert? I mean,
Yeah.
would they ask permission first? Is it okay if they ask permission and then throw holy water on him?
I mean, it couldn't hurt,
Yeah.
right? I guess you'd probably know pretty quickly if you didn't like it or not.
Yeah. I mean, it's really weird because it's like, right. So thinking about Supernatural, you know,
I love that
like
show. No.
like we think. I guess what I'm saying, right, is like a lot of people believe in angels and demons.
Right.
And even in the Bible, they talk about demons going from inside people to pigs. Like Jesus casted demons out into a bunch of pigs.
That's why you shouldn't feel bad about eating bacon.
But it's like,
Just kidding.
but at the same time, it's like, you know, would a demon post up in a doll
Stranger things have happened.
for years and years and years, like 100 years? I mean,
Maybe he's being punished for something.
and then at the same time, it's like, I mean, you punish people who don't have good manners. So like you punish the bad people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't punish the people with good manners.
Maybe it's
Like, like is that a demon or is that a? Because generally, I've always thought that like, for the most part, right? Like, it's like I'm just like, you know, demonic possession is usually like there's troubled personality already. I would say,
Mm-hmm.
but
Maybe it's just a regular old entity that like really doesn't like the changing of the world
yeah,
as they see it, and they want to make sure
yeah.
people remain humble.
Yeah, I guess all of this last statement point that I'm trying to make is like it switched to demonic at some point,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure I like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure that that fits.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Well, that's just one of the theories, right? Like they think.
Well, it's people describe like giggles and things as demonic, like now versus like how they described it at the very beginning.
If you heard.
Is how it felt. It felt like there was a transition. And I understand maybe you're saying it's like it's one interpretation or whatever, but
To me, all giggling that doesn't have a source is going to sound demonic. It's not going to sound good. And even children giggling, not a huge fan. No, just kidding.
right? Giggling is generally like laughter. Like think about all those baby videos of like babies laughing and
Oh,
stuff.
I do love those
Right?
videos.
Like you can't help but smile with those.
But if you
When you
don't
say-
know where it's fucking coming from, it's going to sound fucking creepy as hell.
When you say demonic giggling, like I think of Little Nicky. That's what I think of, like all the weird voices.
Yes. Fair.
Yeah,
Fair.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Like is it the dog?
Yes.
Yeah, so is it like the dog when he's sleeping makes the weirdest sounds?
He does.
And the roommates
roommate.
are like fucking spooky, man, or whatever, right? Like he's all creeped out by it. Yeah. So like that's kind of what I think of when you say like demonic giggles. Like
Yeah.
I think something like something just terribly and you're like, whoa, what the fuck was that? You know?
Yeah.
But
I mean, again, we've never like heard it, so we can't quantify if it was demonic or not.
yeah.
But a sound of a child giggling with no child around, 10 out of 10, don't recommend.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if like these people were somehow monetizing it, you know, because it's like It's like, why would you make up a story that like you have a possessed doll? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what the plumber who said that it moved from one side to the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, so you start the job. It's on one side of the kitchen. You put your head under the sink, and the lady comes in and quietly moves it. Yeah, like I mean, it's like
Mm-mm. Don't like that.
it's like why? Like what would be the motivation for the person who owns the doll?
Maybe it's just like
Like other
this
than to
doll's kind of.
fuck with like
I was gonna
people,
say
you
that
know?
they're probably like this doll's kind of creepy. It'd be funny to fuck with people, and then it just kind of snowballed.
Right? I mean, it could be just that, right?
Right.
So
We don't know.
yeah,
But you know what, Robert? If you're out there listening, we respect you, sir. You do your thing. Keep on keeping on.
yeah. I vaguely recall this photograph. I remember when you looked at it and we had a quick conversation about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you post the pictures for this episode, I'll probably be even more like, ugh.
Yeah. He's creepy looking.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely has a vibe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well,
Sorry, what's the other doll reference? What one last doll
oh
reference?
Jesus.
Beer Fest.
Zabaver.
Right? Isn't there, there's a doll. The grandma has the doll.
Yes.
There, and they get like the secret beer recipe out of
Farva, yeah,
it was, like,
Farva.
in
It's
the
not
doll.
Farva. It's what's his name in that movie? Landfill.
Landfill.
Landfill fucks the doll at the end. Not really. He pretends to, and he's like, "Hey, come on, that was my grandma's." And then the head falls off, and they find the
The
recipe.
beer recipe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's like, when the guy is writing on the chalkboard, and he's like, "Zababber, zababber, zababber," and he's like, "Quit." Because they're talking about the boot. That
Yeah, the
spin
boot.
the bubble.
He can't solve the problem of the bubble.
I literally used to just
Yeah.
randomly. I still do it sometimes. I'll be like, "Zababber."
I know. I never knew really. I couldn't remember.
I've sent it to you,
That
and you're like,
line-
"What?"
That line does not stick out to me.
Oh,
out of
it
that
does to
movie.
me. I don't know why, but I'm weird, so, and that's okay.
Of course, the one that I always throw at you is, yeah, for a little slap of tickle, slap of a pickle.
Mine's always I always sleep better with a little sausage in me.
Grandma's a whore.
I'm just saying, some of my best friends are whores. Your grandma might be a whore.
Right. Yeah.
Such a good movie.
Yeah.
Well, with that, as always, thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and download our show, as well as leaving us a 5-star rating, a positive review on whatever platform you're listening on. All of these help us become more visible to more people, and it helps us grow our show, which is what we want to do because we really have fun doing this. Also, you can help us out by sharing us with your friends and family on your social media, all the things. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all Creepy Cascadia Pod, or we have a website, creepycascadiapod.com. Or you can also send an email to admin@creepycascadiapod if you have an idea for a show topic, if you just want to say hey, if you have a picture of Bigfoot, please send it. I want to see it. Or if you have your own story, share it with us. We would love to share it on the show when we do our next listener episode. So with that, we hope everybody has a great week. Please be respectful to Robert if you go to Key West and go see him. If you were disrespectful and went, please send it to me because I don't want to hear about it.
Also be respectful in the comments.
Yes, be respectful in the comments because we don't want to piss him off if he sees this. So. But yes, with that, have a great week, and we will see you guys all back next week for a brand new show. Anything to add, babe?
No, I think that's about it.
All right.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.